So then toward the end of episode 3, Sherry starts discussing some sexual trauma that she experienced as a child. And very similar to the financial abuse that we talked about, this isn't something that I'm going to argue against or really question. I want to make it clear that the only thing that I do not believe her of being truthful about is the abduction. I think that that is completely fabricated. Other than that, I don't know what is true, what is not true, and I'm not about to question somebody's life story about things like that. And the only reason I believe that the abduction story is fake and a lie is because the FBI has also come out saying that it's a lie. Everything else in Sherry's life absolutely may be true, and that is her story to share. But the reason I even bring this up is because her therapist argued that this trauma from her childhood, as well as her parents' reaction to the trauma, is a huge factor into her diagnosed self-defeating personality disorder. And it's a huge factor into everything else that has taken place in her life. And there's one really huge thing in episode 3 that I want to touch on, because it might be a detail that makes your opinion sway one way or another about if James really did commit this kidnapping and abduction. Because, like I said, she's retelling this story of how the abduction happened, how she agreed to meet with James, it was going to be sometime in the day, she went on a run, all of those things. So she says, on camera, that when she noticed that it was James in the car, she dropped her phone in complete shock. Then, as she bent down to pick it up, everything went black. That was the last thing that she remembered. But what doesn't equate with that version of her story is that there are transcripts from an interview that Sherry did after her reappearance, where she full stop admitted to her husband Keith that she's the one who pulled out her own hair, and that she pulled out her hair and strategically placed it on those headphones because she knew that by leaving that behind, it would indicate that she had been kidnapped. And the exact quote in the transcript is, "I knew you'd find my phone. I knew you'd find my phone and my hair. I knew you would find it. I knew you would. That's why I pulled it out. I knew that you would know. I knew that you would know." So the producers called her out on this, pretty much saying, okay, well, which is it? And I am not joking, you can see her face just go completely, not like ghost white, but like shell shock. Just was not expecting it. She is fully stunned. And then she gives some kind of random answer that makes absolutely no sense to the situation, just kind of faking like she's confused about what they're even asking, even though they asked it clear as day. They literally said, "Did you drop your phone by accident, or did you place it there for Keith?" And I don't know what else she could have thought that they were saying, but she was acting confused, acting like she didn't understand the question. And ultimately, she ended up saying that she was telling the truth about it falling by accident. So apparently she was lying about all of the strategy and hair placement and, placing it there for Keith to find. So then in episode 4, the last episode of the series, Sherry took a polygraph test.